Hello everyone, I have another video for you today. I have a single long Reddit story. I hope you enjoy. Here is the title of the story. He sends me a song every day without saying a word. Now I think he's in love with me. Some mornings, I wake up to a melody so haunting and familiar that I feel as if the notes are weaving my secret hopes together even before my brain fully wakes. I never expected that a simple, unexplained daily song would unravel the tapestry of my life, altering how I see love and myself. It all started on an ordinary Tuesday morning when my phone pinged with a new message. Instead of the usual flood of work emails or reminders, there was a single audio file accompanied by nothing but the gentle hum of a song that resonated with the bittersweet tone of longing and promise. At first, I thought it was just one of those quirky pranks my friends loved to pull. I replayed the song several times, trying to catch any stray hint, any unusual sound that might reveal who had sent it. The style was reminiscent of the indie ballads I adored, soft guitar strums paired with lyrics about distant dreams and secret confessions. I spent my mornings sifting through my contacts and rewatching old conversations, but there was no trace of anyone who claimed responsibility for the mysterious gift. Instead, I began to wonder if it was a carefully orchestrated gesture from a stranger who somehow knew exactly what song to send on that day. For the next week, every day brought a new melody. Sometimes the tunes were upbeat and hopeful, other times they were melancholy and reflective. I found myself looking forward to the unexpected arrival of each track. I would lie awake at night thinking about who might be on the other end, a silent messenger letting music speak the words that I had always been too afraid to speak aloud. It felt as if the sender was quietly building a bridge between our hearts with chords and verses instead of introductions and awkward small talk. I shared my predicament with my best friend during one of our late-night phone calls. I recalled the first day when my heart raced with the thrill of mystery and confessed my growing curiosity about this silent admirer. My friend listened intently, suggesting that perhaps this was a creative way for someone to break through their shell of shyness. Although I was flattered, I also felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Could someone be falling for me purely through the language of music? Was it bold romance or an exercise in anonymity that risked crossing boundaries? My search for clues led me to compile a playlist of the songs I received. I wrote down the titles, the artists, and even tried to detect a pattern. The playlist told a story of its own, a journey through different moods and moments that mirrored my own hopes and disappointments. Some days, the song was exuberant, promising a fresh beginning. On others, it was a somber reflection on memories long past. Slowly, I began to see each track as a chapter of an unseen narrative, and I wondered if I was meant to piece it together like a puzzle of emotions. Every morning, as I sat with my steaming mug of coffee and listened to the latest song, I couldn't help but imagine the sender. I pictured a guy with kind eyes and an old soul, someone who had perhaps struggled with expressing his feelings before choosing the safety of music as his medium. I envisioned him sitting in a quiet room filled with vinyl records and worn-out notebooks, carefully selecting a song from his extensive collection that best captured the mood of the moment. There was an enchanting vulnerability in his silent courtship that both thrilled and terrified me. The idea that a stranger could capture my attention in such an intimate and artful way was almost too magical to be real. A turning point came on a rainy afternoon when I received a song that felt like an open confession. The melody was slow, almost aching in its simplicity, and the lyrics spoke of a secret love that had been hidden for far too long. I sat by my window as the raindrops tapped against the glass, feeling an inexplicable connection to both the song and the silent sender behind it. That day, my usual cautious optimism gave way to a longing that bordered on desperation. I felt as though I was on the precipice of a confession of my own, a confession of the lonely nights and unspoken wishes I had carried deep within me. Determined to solve the mystery once and for all, I began leaving subtle hints in my social media posts, hoping that the silent musician would notice. I posted a picture of a record player with the caption, "A new favorite playing tonight," and I shared a quote about the power of music to say what words cannot. I made sure every gesture, every line, carried the weight of my secret curiosity. Days turned into weeks, and the silent serenades continued, each one filling a space in my heart that I had long thought empty. One day, while waiting at my favorite coffee shop, I overheard a soft humming coming from behind me. I turned and caught a glimpse of a guy with salt and pepper hair and soulful eyes, his gaze fixed on something in his hands, a pair of old headphones and what looked like a portable speaker. I wondered for an instant if that could be him, the mysterious courier of melodies. My heart pounded as I tried to focus on his face, searching for any sign that he might be the one sending me those songs. But before I could gather my thoughts, he gathered his belongings and left, leaving me with only the memory of that fleeting moment. That day, however, a new song arrived on my phone. It was a warm, acoustic ballad that immediately enveloped my senses in a cocoon of comfort and familiarity. I sat on my porch that evening, the evening sky painted with soft hues of twilight, and I let the song wash over me. In that moment, I realized that the daily serenades had become more than just a sequence of mysterious messages. They had become a lifeline, a subtle reminder that love can arrive in the most unexpected forms. As the days passed, I found myself more emboldened by the daily routine of receiving songs. I started noting down the feelings they evoked, the memories they stirred up, and the hopes they planted in my heart. I became lost in interpreting the melodies, trying to decipher whether the silent sender was hinting at something more or simply sharing the music that moved him. The ambiguity was both agonizing and exhilarating, as each track carried layers of meaning that were open to interpretation. One cool autumn evening, while sitting on a park bench surrounded by falling leaves and the soft murmur of distant conversations, I felt an overwhelming urge to respond. I pulled out my phone and recorded a short voice note, admitting that the songs had touched me in ways I could not fully explain. I spoke of the way the music bridged the gap between loneliness and hope, and how each new melody brought a spark of wonder into my day. I hesitated before sending it, unsure if it was a confession or merely an acknowledgement. When I finally pressed send, I felt both vulnerable and alive, as if I had taken a daring step into the unknown. That night, as I lay in bed with the gentle echo of the day's songs still lingering in my ears, my phone vibrated with a response. It was not a song this time, but a simple message that read, "I hear you." My heart fluttered with both relief and a sense of anticipation that bordered on disbelief. Someone had finally heard me, and in return, acknowledged the connection we had been building through music. I spent the rest of the night imagining his voice and the warmth behind those few words, each beat of my heart aligning with the rhythm of the melodies that had become our secret language. The next few weeks saw a shift in our silent exchange. The songs took on a more personal tone, as if he was sharing pieces of his soul, and I began to share more of myself in return. There were nights when I would lie awake, reliving memories of past heartbreaks and dreams of a future filled with love and possibility. In those quiet moments, the songs became anchors, grounding me in the comforting belief that perhaps love was right around the corner, coming at me slowly, note by note. It wasn't until one crisp winter evening, when the city was draped in a blanket of snow, that I found the courage to seek out the mystery behind the melodies. I was at a small local concert in an intimate venue, the kind where the audience sat on the edge of their seats, completely absorbed in the music. As I looked around the room, my eyes met those of a man standing in the back. There was something striking in the way he carried himself, a quiet confidence and a tenderness in his eyes that mirrored the feelings that had been stirring within me for so long. My heart leapt as I realized that I might finally have my answer. After the performance, I lingered near the stage, my mind churning with questions and anticipation. I clutched the small notebook I always carried, the one in which I jotted down song titles and fleeting thoughts, hoping that maybe, just maybe, I would find him there. And then, as if drawn by an invisible thread, our eyes met again. He nodded softly, a warm smile playing on his lips that made my heart skip a beat. In that silent moment of recognition, the mystery began to unravel. We found ourselves drawn together naturally, as if our shared love for music had orchestrated this reunion. I introduced myself with a trembling smile, and he replied with a quiet, genuine warmth. Over the next few hours, we sat in a corner of that cozy venue, our conversation ebbing and flowing like the melodies of our secret serenades. I learned that his name was Adrian, and that he had always used music as a way to express emotions he couldn't find the words for. He admitted that every song he sent was a reflection of how he felt that day, a window into his soul that he had kept hidden from the world. The more we talked, the more I realized that our connection was deeper than I had ever imagined. Adrian told me about the struggles he had faced growing up in a household where vulnerability was seen as weakness, and how music had become his refuge, a safe haven where he could be truly himself. As he spoke, I could sense the raw honesty in his voice, and I felt as if every note from our past daily serenades had been a prelude to this very moment. In the weeks that followed, our once silent communication evolved into something tender and filled with mutual care. We began spending more time together, exploring the city, wandering through galleries and record shops, and sharing our favorite tracks with one another, as if each song was a declaration of trust. I discovered that Adrian's music collection was a treasure trove of memories and emotions, each track a chapter of his life that he wasn't afraid to share. I, too, started opening up about my own past and the wounds that time had not yet healed. We listened to each other's stories with empathy, and with every song that played in the background, our connection deepened. There were evenings when the world outside faded into insignificance, replaced by the pulse of our heartbeat and the soft strumming of a guitar in a dimly lit room. In those moments, time seemed to stand still, and the silent exchange of songs transformed into a shared language that required no words. It was as if every melody had the power to convey what our lips could not say, the longing, the hope, and the love that was slowly blooming between us. Of course, life is never without its storms. Just as I began to truly believe that we were writing our own love story, a misunderstanding threatened to tear apart the fragile connection we had built. A misinterpreted conversation with a mutual friend led me to believe that Adrian had been hiding something about his past. My insecurities, fueled by a lifetime of guarded emotions, spiraled out of control. I started questioning the sincerity behind his daily songs, wondering if the tender messages were merely a facade or an escape from unresolved pain. One chilly evening, my doubts reached a fever pitch. I sat alone in my apartment, the silence punctuated only by the hum of the city outside, waiting for the inevitable arrival of that day's song. When it finally came, it was a haunting melody that tugged at the corners of my heart, a bittersweet tune that seemed to plead for forgiveness. In that moment, I realized that my mind had woven a tangled web of fears and misinterpretations. With trembling fingers, I sent Adrian a message asking him to meet me at our favorite spot, the old bridge overlooking the river, where we had once shared quiet laughter and heartfelt confessions. That night, shrouded in the soft glow of streetlights and the echo of distant music, Adrian and I stood face to face on that familiar bridge. The tension between us was palpable, the silence laden with unspoken apologies and tentative hope. He reached out gently, placing a hand over mine, his touch reassuring me that despite the turbulence, what we shared was real and worth fighting for. Without uttering a single word, his eyes conveyed 1,000 apologies and a promise of unwavering sincerity. As we stood there, the river flowing steadily beneath us, and the city's lights shimmering like stars, everything fell into place. I understood that the songs had been his way of saying, in the language of music, everything that I needed to hear, that he cared, that he understood, and that his love was genuine, even in its quiet mystery. In that moment, I chose to trust in the magic of our connection and in the transformative power of music that had brought us together. Now, as I sit here reminiscing about our journey, I marvel at the unexpected twists of fate that led a silent messenger to become the love of my life. Each song Adrian sent me was a fragment of his heart, a glimpse into the soul of a man who had learned to express himself through melodies when words failed him. And every song deepened the bond between us, turning a series of quiet gestures into a symphony of shared memories and hope. I still receive songs from Adrian, though now they come with the soft murmur of conversation and gentle laughter between us. Our love story began in silence and blossomed into a vibrant duet, each day marked by a new melody that reminds me of the beauty of unspoken emotions and the courage it takes to let someone truly in. Looking back, I realized that those mysterious songs were not just gifts of music but acts of bravery, a way for two souls to meet in the middle and create something extraordinary together. Life has a way of composing its own soundtrack, and mine continues to play on in a harmony of love, trust, and the ever-present magic of music. I learned that sometimes, the most profound connections are forged not with grand declarations but with the quiet persistence of a heartfelt song, reminding us that love, in all its mysterious and transformative power, finds a way to speak even in silence. That is the end of the story. Man. If the girls started playing random songs to me about how I was feeling, that would be pretty nice. It would be pretty flattering. Now, if they turned out to be weird and they were following my every move as I go through my day, I would be a bit scared, but if she is nice, then it wouldn't bother me. I hope you enjoyed the long story. There is a link in the description for my Reddit Stories playlist. Go watch them if you like. Have a great day.